Hey, so some of you may be aware that the month of June is around the awareness of PTSD. So PTSD stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. It just means that it comes from a traumatic experience that you've gone through, and it's your body's way of bringing it back up in many different ways to be healed. And then you've got complex trauma, which is the result of, so say, for example, where we went through COVID 2020, where we went through a set of catalytic events, if that's what we want to call it, where we had to adjust really quickly. We didn't know what was going on. And the human brain does not like the unknown. And so some people like myself who were aware of some of the things going on as well, that actually triggered so for me complex trauma around a past of narcissistic abuse, because some of the tactics that were used around the government and the protection stuff was actually used by narcissists. So many different things. Love bombing. So I can't think of the thing. Trauma bonding, where they were giving, if you take the vaccination, then you can have a holiday. If you do this, we'll give you this. And they kept putting it back, 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 back. All the different language that was being used and that kind of thing. So that kind of outlines like trauma. But I would say for me personally, it wasn't actually going through those events, although it did compile into complex trauma. But at the time when I was off from furlough from my job, I actually decided to come off my antidepressants because it gave me time to sit and reevaluate things. I had time to plan how to come off my tablets. For those of you who actually, I don't know how to place this, but experience going on to antidepressants, some people don't get any side effects at all. Some people like me do, and they were horrific. So going on antidepressants for myself and coming off is the worst, I would say. But I would have to say for me, I don't know if any people listening to this can actually resonate as well, but the actual side effects were worse than what I was actually experiencing in the first place. And it pushed my anxiety up through the roof, my stress levels up through the roof. And I would actually say that going on antidepressants is a huge decision. And if you ever do make that decision, it's probably wise to ask your doctor who's prescribing you these tablets if they have detail and knowledge around how they can affect you mentally and physically and long term as well. Because I find for myself, antidepressants, they plateau. And so like after a while, so for me a year, they plateau, and then they just don't do a lot. So yeah, so that's part of my experience. I've written about it in my book. I think it was Spirology Reflection. Oh, no, Reflection of Self. Can't remember if it's in this one. But yeah, I wanted to share it because, some people think that going on antidepressants is a really easy choice. It's not. The side effects can be horrific. And so just to be mindful of that and to actually take in account of how they're going to affect you in the short term and the long term. Like they have worked a little bit for me, but my body does not agree with them at all. So yeah, and I'm actually, I haven't said this out loud before, but I'm quite aware that when I do and I want to come off mine now, the only thing stopping me is reliving the side effects that you get, or I got when I come off them. So for me, it's finding, a professional that can help me with that when I'm eventually ready. But yeah, so I just wanted to kind of outline I guess that's two things. I thought it was going to be shorter than this, but hey ho. Yeah, of how trauma can affect you. I mean, it doesn't have to be a massively significant event. It can be something small. So PTSD and complex PTSD. It's kind of like your body's reliving the memories, and you go through the motion of reliving it, like physically, mentally, visually. It is the oddest thing. And then actually learning that it's the body's natural way to cope and heal from something you've gone through traumatic is an eye-opener. It doesn't, sometimes it makes it easier, sometimes it doesn't, because I've recently gone through an experience and I've gone through something again, and I didn't realize I was going through trauma again, complex PTSD again, until I spoke to somebody else. And then because I was listening to somebody else, I was like, oh my God, because I didn't see my own blind spots. So, there's that. And it can be quite confusing sometimes because you don't know where the trigger point is or how it started. And that's generally the first signs for me of knowing that I'm in PTSD or complex trauma. So I just wanted to bring some awareness. I also want to add that, so say for example, we're COVID, for example, 2020, it came in. You could say that was an anchor, so a trauma stack that's been placed in your mind and body, and it holds it unless you deal with it. Because when something traumatic happens, your brain doesn't always immediately process it, so it'll break it up into little tiny chunks, and it'll just get placed somewhere else, distorted, filed away somewhere else to be sorted out later on. And that's generally why you can't remember parts of traumatic events, because that's the way of the body's protection mechanism to help you. And that's why, like with PTSD, it brings back things back up, ready for when you are in a healthy place, which doesn't sound really good, does it? But that's what it does. Yeah, so like I wrote in my first book, Spirology Reflection of Self, around happy stacking. So it's just literally, what's the word? Exposure therapy. That's the word I'm looking for. But I just call it happy stacking instead, because it's so much easier to remember. And I guess you could say like there's a bit of CBT to this, because CBT is literally like flipping something to a positive and just using yourself, like self-command, to say, you got this, you can do this, that kind of thing. But it's kind of like feeling the fear and doing it anyway, that kind of thing. And what happy stacking does is it helps you to get over the PDA. So PDA is generally recognized, PDA is pathological demand avoidance, which is generally related to trauma, as a trauma response, where your brain is like, nah, let's not do this, let's go past this and do something else. It can also be related to autism as well, believe it or not. So like happy stacking, so like, let's go back to the COVID example, when the date came in, everything happened, lots of change happened, and we didn't know what was going on. And then a few years later pass, and you're still kind of in that pattern, and your body's gearing up and getting ready and fear and stuff. And like, I don't know if this happens to people now. They might be still like keeping things like food and stuff stored away because of that little bit of fear. So what I did to get past these things, because like when we went through these lockdowns and different things, they were kind of on the similar dates around the 2 years that it happened, which stacks trauma. So we want to bring it the other way, do happy stacking. So what I would tend to do is literally like book things, nice things to do on similar dates, like the following year, or when something was coming in. And oh, excuse that motorbike. And like the first year we went to, or the year after, sorry, 2022, we went to Tenby, and then the year after that we went to where did we go? Edinburgh. So we was literally just happy, happy stacking on top of what used to be a negative, so that eventually you're training your brain to recognize that it's okay and it's safe and good things happened on that date instead. And so that's exactly what happy stacking is. You can pretty much use this on, the smaller kind of things, not massive, huge traumas. But if you're able to cognitively do this for yourself, it's really helpful. And it helped me in the past, along with other things where like Christmas has been a negative. That was a thing in COVID as well. Not that I recognised it as that, but yeah, where you just do nice things then the year after, that kind of thing. You're just rewiring your brain to look for the positives and experience positives as well, instead of what it was. Because it's like, I was talking to someone yesterday and they were saying, that we didn't get vaccinated, blah, blah, blah. I didn't either. I took that choice. I didn't. But at the time, it was really traumatic because the amount of abuse that people were giving me and different things. And I've been wondering for a while now around like habits and stuff, because not all our habits have come back into normal, or we just chose not to. Whereas like relationships have changed, and I kind of noticed this like consciously, so I've mended a few of mine, changed some things, but some people haven't, and they might not be aware that their relationships have changed because of the habit. It's literally a habit. It's not because someone thinks you're a bad person or something like that. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out because our habits have changed so much since 2020. So many things have changed. The way that we live, the way that we book stuff, relationships. Yeah. So yeah, hope you find this video helpful. You can find me on amandabowden.co.uk, and I take on clients one-to-one privately as well. And if you want to know more about that, then get in touch. Bye guys.